And we've seen it so many times, people that overdose. You know, the hospitals stay full of people that are being brought in about overdosing, you know. These drugs are so addictive. People don't realize this, that, you know, the more you take, the more your system's building this stuff up inside there.
Well, another thing is there's a fair number of designer drugs out there floating around, like meth, that you have no idea. You know, my friends would talk about, when I was growing up, we'd talk about drinking 3 beers or 6 beers or something like that. You had some idea what was going to happen. You knew how intoxicated you were with 3 beers. If you're taking something that someone cooked up in their kitchen, you have no idea what you're taking. You have, you know, if you are mixing medications together, for example, let's say you're taking benzos or Valium and alcohol together, how it reacts with your system may be totally different than your twin brother standing next to you.
Right.
So the situation is with drugs, sometimes you don't know what you're going to get.
Exactly. You know, we got about 10 minutes left in the program, but I really want to encourage the people that's watching and listening. You know, your community is in such a bad shape when you see drugs on every hand, on every corner. I mean, this is right here in southeast Kentucky. A few years back, you never heard of drugs like you're hearing right now. What are ways that we as a community can come together and finally put a stop to this?
One of the things that you know, again, is people, if you know, one-to-one, recommend, if you have a friend that's got a problem, don't just put your hands in your pocket and say, look, I don't know what to do.
Right.
You know, call somebody, you know, in the program. You know, unfortunately, there's not a one-size-fits-all in this deal. You know, you can't, you know, we have people that come to our Crossroads program and they complete the program and they go home and they go back to drinking. Okay. One of the things is that they go back to that situation. They go back to areas that they were involved with prior. And some folks, it requires different things. But what you have to do is you have to first get that dialogue started, get them start talking. You know, bring them into the office and get them to start saying, look, I got a problem, and this is what I'm willing to do. You know, I've had people say, you know, I'll do anything you tell me. If you want me to move to Lexington to get away, you want me to move out, you know, change jobs, whatever.
Right.
And some people are very quiet. And some people say, look, I'm not changing anything. And unfortunately, if you don't change anything, it's not likely to be real successful.
And people don't realize the dangers of these drugs. Some of these drugs are so potent. One time you could try these drugs and your life would be over.
Well, you know, some of the drugs like we hear a lot of, like crack and things like that, are significantly, the power of them is, we've had people that talks about using them one time and becoming addicted. So it's not something that you want to experiment a lot with, you know. I mean, most of us, you know, growing up, we experimented with some alcohol and maybe some other medications. But the drugs that are out there, and a lot of times, crack and different type of drugs like that, they are so powerful. Experimentation, maybe literally playing Russian roulette.
And people don't realize this too. You're not just taking a chance on your life, you're taking a chance on innocent people's life, little children's life, being out on the highway drinking and under the influence of drugs, you know, and you see it all the time. You see church buses that's on their way to church. A drunk driver has plowed into them and killed people.
Yeah, you know, if you, like I say, if you get to looking, nobody, there's no expression, nobody's an island. And it's the same way. If you have a person who's out here who's into substance abuse, he's affecting a lot of people. He's affecting people in his family, his neighborhood, if he's employed. You know, even if he's not employed, there's still people that he's associating with. There's a large, you know, it's kind of like a ripple effect of throwing a rock in a pond. You've got a lot of people that this affects, and the pervasiveness in society is enormous. It's not, you know, people won't say, you know, well, that's a problem of these people, or it's a problem of this race or this ethnic population. Truth of the matter is, we've had people in our programs from almost every walk of life.
And a lot of people don't stop and realize this too. You know, they say, well, some of this has been prescribed to me from a physician or a doctor or a pain clinic or whatever. And then they get so addicted to this stuff, even antidepressant medicine, you know, it leads to depression for a lot of people.
One of the things that you run into is just because you were prescribed this medication
Right.
doesn't mean that the doctor is aware of all the factors around it. And you've also got to know a little bit about yourself. You know, if you see yourself having more need for prescription medication, just blindly going down the road says the doctor gave it to me, so it must be okay, usually has an unhappy ending.
And you've got so many drugs out there right now. You got the Prozac that, you know, it's supposed to make you feel good and everything like that. And the doctors are writing these prescriptions out left and right to all these people, and they're getting addicted to it. I've known ministers, I've known pastors that were addicted to painkillers because they hurt and injured their back. You know, you got all these for your nerves and all.
Eastern Kentucky as a whole is awash, and this is unfortunate with pain medications. I mean,